Hi everyone, this is Darlene from Darlene Stamps. Today I'd like to introduce you to the new in colors for Stampin' Up! 2022 through 2024. When Stampin' Up! Introduces in colors, they have a 2-year cycle. The colors this year are quite saturated and deep. These kinds of colors are some of my favorites. Let's start with our green Parakeet Party, kind of a lime green, Sweet Sorbet, an orangey kind of red, Orchid Oasis, a purple with a hint of blue in it, Starry Sky, a deep blue with a hint of purple in it, and Tahitian Tide, very turquoisey. Today what I'd like to do is a project with you that shows all of these in colors on the card. That way you can get a good idea of how they work together and how they might look with other colors that you have at home. So let's get started. Let me show you the project for today. Bring it up a little bit for you to see. This is using a bundle from the new catalog called Sending Smiles. And you can see all 5 of the colors on the front of the card. Let's take a closer look at the bundle. Here is the stamp set. You can see that it has some florals. It also has the large greeting sending, and it has quite a few inside greetings, if you will, that follow sending. For example, sending birthday wishes, sending a note of thanks. Very self-inclusive bundle here. You really don't even need anything else from your craft room in order to make a card with this bundle. Let me show you the dies. You can see here that every floral has a die. You have several different stems and flowers. You also have the word sending here, and the dies here are very interesting. You can stamp the sending stamp. It's a nice bold font, and cut it out with the background die right here. Or you can use the die that cuts out the script part. It's very skinny, but you can definitely use it on its own. Or you can combine the two, the skinny on top of the background die in contrasting colors to get a whole different look. You'll notice that my words are cut out perfectly, and the reason for that is that there is a die for the longer words and there is a die for the shorter words. So that means you don't have to think, do I have a punch that fits that? Do I have a die somewhere else that fits that? What size paper do I need to cut? All of that is taken away because you have a die for every single part of this set. I really liked how this set was designed, really all-inclusive. So let's get started. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to stamp our floral piece. Now you'll notice that I'm bringing in my Stampin' Pierce mat, and I usually protect mine with just a piece of scrap cardstock. Why am I bringing in the Stampin' Pierce mat? I'm doing that because this is a photopolymer set. I have had customers say, I have a little bit of trouble getting good images with my photopolymer stamps, particularly if you're used to red rubber stamps. So I want to give you a couple of hints to help you be successful. Let's bring in one of the floral stamps. I have it mounted on a glass block. One of the things you need to realize with photopolymer is that it is a total different product than red rubber. The processing is totally different, and therefore it needs to be treated a little bit differently. The first thing I would tell you to do is to condition your photopolymer stamps. What do I mean by that? I mean that you need to treat the surface of the stamps so that they'll give you a good image. When a photopolymer stamp comes out of production, it's possible that it can have a slight residue on it. You can't really see it or feel it, anything like that, but there can be a slight residue. And what that residue does is it actually repels the ink. So the way you're going to condition your stamp is you're going to use an artist eraser. An artist eraser is something you can buy at any store where you buy art supplies. It's nice and soft and smooth. A much better kind of eraser for this than the pencil eraser that you might have. What you're going to do with the eraser is you're going to rub this eraser on the inky side, the side you're going to ink up. You're going to be very, you're going to use pressure on this and really rub across your stamp quite a bit. That's starting to release that residue. After you do that, then I would also say to take your stamp and just kind of twist it on scrap paper. Keep twisting. This is also helping to release any residue that's there. Once you do that, then you want to thoroughly clean your stamp like you normally would, whether you use a spray, whether you use a chamois. I'm just going to go over to the side here, wipe mine clean and dry it. Whatever you do to clean a stamp, that's what you want to do after you condition your stamp. I would suggest that you condition the whole set at one time, and then whenever you want to use that set, you are good to go. Okay, so we've conditioned our stamp. Now we're going to bring in our cardstock. I'm going to bring in my parakeet party and my leaf piece, my stem piece. The next thing you should know is to make sure that you ink up your stamp properly. You want to give a good pressure to that. You don't want to press way into your stamp, your ink pad, so that you're filling the whole stamp with ink. But you do want to make sure that it's inked up. Take a look at it. Okay, now here's what I want you to remember. When you put your photopolymer stamp to your paper, you want to give it good pressure. With red rubber, you're used to stamping and releasing right away. You need to give good pressure, and you need to give a couple extra seconds on the paper to fully release the ink. And there you have your image. Okay, so once again, condition with your artist eraser, ink up your stamp correctly, apply good pressure, a couple extra seconds, and then release. Let's do another. We're going to do the sweet sorbet. This will be our larger flower. Again, these have all been conditioned. Good ink coverage. Pressure, couple extra seconds, and a nice release. And last, Orchid Oasis for our small floral. Good coverage on my stamp. Good pressure, extra couple seconds, and release. And there you have your clear images from your conditioned stamps. All right, let's go to our greeting, our sending. What I've done is I have stamped my sending in Starry Sky, and I'm going to cut it out with the coordinating die. So I have my cutting platform, my bottom of my sandwich. I'm going to put my die on this way. It's not going to stay for me, but you know what it's like. Here I want to give you a hint about how to prolong the life of your die cutting machine. You'll notice that the sending die is long and skinny. If you put your long skinny dies through in this direction, when you come to the roller system, every die cutting machine has a roller system. When you come to the roller system with your die oriented this way, it's just like if your car is hitting a speed bump. If you've ever hit a speed bump, you've gone a little fast or you didn't slow down enough, when your car gets to the speed bump, it goes ba-boom. And sometimes you even hear your suspension system kind of groaning a little bit because it's just been put under a lot of tension. That's what happens when you send a long skinny die through your die cutting machine. So what you want to do is reorient long skinny dies this way. And my husband, when I was showing him this, he said, yeah, it's like you're going through the car wash instead of over a speed bump, right? When you send your car through the car wash, it goes this way, right? Not the other way. So you always want to send your long skinny dies not over a speed bump, but through the car wash. And then you would put your top plate on, of course, and go ahead and finish cutting. When you do that, you have your word you're sending. And what I did was I put dimensionals, mini dimensionals on the back. And it's ready for the card. All right, let's get our pieces together. I have my card base. I have my Tahitian tied mat. I have my floral piece. Now, I did not stamp the centers of my flowers, but you can. You could use embellishments, you could use Wink of Stella, whatever you want for your centers. And then our sending would go on the front. Super simple card showing all of the in colors. Now, let me show you a stepped up version of the card. Here I have a stepped up version. Similar elements done a little bit differently. You'll notice that I've changed my base to Starry Sky. I still have my Tahitian tied mat. This time on the white piece, I did not stamp on the white piece, but I used an embossing folder. This one is called Gingham. For my floral pieces, I stamped each of them on a separate piece of scrap paper and then used my dies to cut out each piece. And then I bumped up each of the flowers with dimensionals. My sending, I glued flat. And this time I chose my words, smiles across the miles. I stamped them in Versamark ink embossed in white embossing powder. Cut those out with one of those sentiment dies. So a little bit stepped up version. Now, one of the things I want to show you is also how do you kind of carry through a theme on your card. Let's go back to our simple card. When you open it up, you'll notice that I've done something on the inside. What I've done here is taken my color palette and I've carried it through to the inside of the card by using small strips, 1/4-inch strips of the Coordinating Designer Series paper. This is particularly effective with this stamp set because the words are all small. They're skinny and they're small. And if you stamp something like that on a large white background, those words can get a little lost, kind of like they're floating around. They really need a place to rest. And so this kind of embellishment on the inside not only carries through the color palette, but it also gives those words a little bit of a place to rest. You could do strips underneath, you could do whatever you want, but it's just a way to ground the words and carry through a color palette. Another way to do that same thing is on your envelope. You can give the person who's going to receive your handmade card a little hint of what's on the inside by stamping on the outside of the envelope. This is not, the post office is fine with this. It's not going to mess up any of their machines. It's not bumpy, anything like that. It's just literally a little hint for the person that something like this is on the inside. You can do it on the front. You can do it on the back. It really doesn't matter. So there is our project for today, again using the Sending Smiles bundle. If you would like to purchase anything that I've shown you today, you can find me at darlenestamps.stampinup.net. This is my Stampin' Up! Website. When you go there, you will see all my contact information, my phone number, my email. You can also set up an account to shop online. I always say shopping online is really great. You can do it 24/7. You can do it in your jammas. You can do it with a cup of coffee. You can use your credit card, and it comes right to your house. So it's a really easy process. If you don't have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator currently, I would love to earn your business. If you go to this website and contact me, I would love to talk with you. I'd like to end with a thought for the day. Today's thought is, never let anyone dull your sparkle. Thanks for watching. Goodbye until next time.